Today we're going to talk about integers. The G is soft in the word, so it's not integer, integers. And integers are the set of whole numbers and their opposites. Opposites meaning the negative version of it. Integers, so like I said, integers are whole numbers. Here, I'm going to try to make this a little bit skinnier if I can. There. Whole numbers and the like 1, 2, 38,000, and the opposite of whole numbers like -1, -2, -38,000. And then there's 0, and 0 doesn't have an opposite. It's neither positive nor negative. What's nice about integers is that they're not fractions, decimals, or percents. So numbers like 3/4 or 1.25 or 23% are not integers. Okay, they have to be whole numbers, positive and negative whole numbers. Owing your friend $50, that's a negative number. That's money that you are losing. So that would be represented by the number -50. When we write positive numbers, we don't put like a plus in front of it. Like we would never write like +50 because we assume numbers are positive unless they have that negative sign. So we only write a sign in front of the number if it's negative. All right, there are some situations in the real world where you will see positive and negative numbers. For example, let's say like a gain of 5 yards. For my football players or people who like to watch football, if you gain 5 yards, that's a positive 5 yards. However, if you lose, so a loss, if you lose 5 yards, that's negative. You're going backwards. Okay. Now, technically, like a distance can't be negative, but you're going farther away from where you're trying to go, which is the end zone. So it's going to be a negative amount. Okay. Another word that you might encounter is increase. So if you increase the amount of money you get paid to do dishes at your house, okay, that's going to be positive. That's going to be something that you're gaining. Whereas if you decrease something, that's going to be negative. It's getting smaller. It's going like backwards, right? Sea level. So sea level is 0, and sea level is like elevation. Okay, so in Colorado, we have a really high elevation. We're like so many thousand feet above sea level. So sea level is 0. When you're above sea level, that's a positive number. When you're below sea level, that's a negative number. Okay. Another situation is like with banks and money. So a credit, when you get a credit, I'm not talking a credit card. I'm talking like if someone credits your account or if someone gives you store credit for that store, you're getting a positive amount of money. Whereas if they give you like a debt, okay, or if you have debt that you have to pay, that's a negative amount of money. You don't have that money. That's money that you're owing someone. Okay, so when you owe someone, that's also a negative number. When you receive money, that's a positive thing. That's going to give you a positive amount of money. I don't know why my pen is like glitching out. I'm sorry. When you receive money, that's a positive thing. When you withdraw money out of your bank account, it's going to be taking money out. Therefore, that is negative in terms of how much money you have in your bank account. Since you're taking it out, that amount is coming out. It's getting subtracted. It's negative. Whereas if you deposit money, let's say your birthday party, you got $100 cash. So you deposit it into your bank account. That's $100 that your bank account is now gaining. So that's a positive amount of money in your bank account. right, so go ahead, pause the video. We are writing an integer for these situations, so like negative 23, positive 54. You're just writing like an integer to represent the situation. All right, if we're watching now, we should already have these answers written down. So a loss of 15 yards would be a negative 15. You deposit $150 into your bank account, so that would be a positive 150. Remember, we don't write the plus because we assume numbers are positive unless they have that negative sign. A gain of 10 yards, that would be a positive 10. And 12 degrees below zero. Ooh, this is one we didn't put in our table that we'll want to add temperature. When temperature is above zero, it's positive. When it's below zero, when it's like 12 degrees below zero, if you were to look at the weather app, it's going to say it's negative 12 degrees outside. All right, let's flip it over to the back and let's talk about opposites. So we kind of already talked about opposites up here because integers are a set of whole numbers and their opposites. The whole numbers are the positive, the opposites are those negative, but you can have the opposite of a negative number as well, and that would turn it positive. So we're just going to talk about positives real quick. Opposites are the same distance to zero on a number line. For example, 3 and negative 3. Those are still 3 spaces away from zero. One is going in the positive direction, one is going in the negative direction. The opposite of zero is zero. Opposite is neither positive nor negative. So zero doesn't really have an opposite. Okay, it is just the same. So the opposite of 25 is negative 25. The opposite of negative 45 would then be positive 45. So basically, if it's positive, switching it negative. If it's negative, switching it positive. All right, so go ahead, pause the videos, try these next 2 at least on your own, and then you can resume the video for the next ones if you'd like. The opposite of 5 and the opposite of negative 23. Now here we've got double opposites. So this is like double negatives. What I like to do is start at the end and work my way backwards. So we're starting at 7. The opposite of that is negative 7. The opposite of that would be 7. So my final answer would be 7. Same thing. We've got a bunch of opposites here. So we're starting with negative 38. The opposite of that is 38. The opposite of that is negative 38. And the opposite of that is 38. All right, so that is our introduction to integers. Our next lesson, we'll talk about putting them on a number line and comparing them. But for now, that is all.